Hello, hello. Welcome to this episode of The Creative Pause. My name is Susan Padron, and I am here with my co-host, who I will allow to introduce herself.
Hello, everybody. I'm Stacey Faye. It's so good to be with you in this episode. I hope you're having a good day today. We always offer up these episodes as a moment for you to smile in the day, have some joy, or just have a moment to breathe in this crazy time that we all find ourselves in. So I hope that you're finding that episode to episode. And today's a particularly fun one. We'll introduce Eddie Ross more formally in a moment, but we're very excited for him to talk about some virtual parties that you can host in this time to continue to make this time feel special and fun despite what we're all going through. So we'll get to that in a moment, but before we do, we always like to check in, see how everyone's doing. Keep this show genuine and real and acknowledge that we're all going through some, difficult or just tumultuous emotions each day. So I'll share, Susan will share, and Eddie will also say a few words. And we welcome you at home to, say it aloud, take a moment to take a deep breath, call a friend today, whatever's going to be helpful just to kind of check in on how you're doing in this time. So yeah, if you've been following, the past couple of weeks, it's been a lot of ups and downs for me. I'm leading into having my baby, and I think all women just freak out when you're about to birth this new life and you have no control over anything. So I have no control over a situation where we all have no control over our situations. And so it's, there's definitely been some anxiety this week, but I've been trying to dig into that and sit with that and allow that to kind of be where it is. And also try to do some things to celebrate. And, and Eddie, I'm excited to hear you today because I am actually planning a Zoom party this coming weekend for, gathering some women together, basically, because I can't do an in-person, baby shower. So, so I'm trying to really focus on intention and mantras and building up good vibes despite, some of the difficult feelings I'm navigating, but giving space for both. So that's where I'm at. How are you doing, Susan?
Today I feel like my energy is pretty low, but I am very excited to have this episode with you and with Eddie. So I'm feeling my spirits kind of rising because of that. Because just I've been a follower of Eddie's work for I don't even know how long now, and he just brings so much joy into all of his just beautiful designs and everything that he just has his hands in. You can tell it's his, and there's just a lot of happiness involved in it. So I feel like my day is already getting better just because all three of us are here. So but yeah, I think again, I know my mood is definitely affected by the weather, and today is a rainy, gray day. But part of me is also kind of relieved about that because my son has been outside nonstop, which I love being outside, but I'm like, okay, maybe today will be a little bit calmer where I'm not running around with him on his skateboard or his bike, or we can just have a chill day inside, which is I think always a nice little break. But Eddie, how are you doing?
Well, first of all, I'm so excited to be here chatting with you two. To see happy, smiling faces is always a nice way to, start the day. And, it's kind of a gray day, but, I've tried to stay positive and just I'm thinking okay, as corny as it is, April showers bring May flowers, and seeing our gardens, popping up with the perennial gardens and all of that, ready to make, spring arrangements. There's, light at the end of the tunnel, and a future is happening right in front of our eyes. And, I think that's really nice to see what Mother Nature's doing, from day to day. And, you have to take the good with the bad, the rain with the sun, but, you could find calmness on a day like this, where I feel like what you were saying, where you're not running around with your son outside, you're, not trying to, take advantage of that. You could kind of, start your day off a little slowly, maybe enjoy your coffee longer, stay in bed a little longer, and, just enjoy the time now that we have. So, that's really how, my thought processes on all of this. And I think, it, like you said, it changes day to day. Like some days are better than others. And, you know, it's a mindset, I think it's really like a mindset that you have to, it's hard to keep that positive mindset when you're watching the news or when you're seeing all this. You're just like, it's like a little fight inside my brain some days, like, oh my God, like all this bad stuff is happening, but I still need to be positive and happy. And I'm sure that's how we all, are feeling through these times.
Nope.
Sure, I can totally relate to you on that, because I'm definitely someone who's more optimistic in general, and like always trying to find the silver lining, or just what the learning opportunity is from the experience, the opportunity for personal growth. And I mean, you're right, sometimes that like battle in my brain is happening just like you were describing, Eddie, with all of the hard, negative, awful things happening in the news, and then your brain's like, but maybe we can find something positive. Like, give us a minute, hold on, we'll be right back. And but it's hard, it's definitely hard. It's like working out that mindset muscle so that it can be somewhat prepared to handle all of the craziness that's happening.
Absolutely, absolutely. And two, just like, I know for all of us, we, all three, we have our businesses that, you're seeing on a day to day. Like, I don't know if you all have seen the Joan Rivers documentary, but it's a really amazing documentary. But it was all about her calendar, and like old school calendar. And I write in my calendar too, like of being busy. Like if you're not busy, you're not living. If you're not doing something, you're not living. And like that's what I've been trying to do now that, for us, with Maximalist Studios, like the events have definitely, they're not happening, or they're happening, but they've been postponed. But usually, like with photography and the events, like our calendars were full. Luckily, with the photography side of the business, we're still able to do, small photo shoots, which is nice here and there in studio. But what I've been doing is just like filling up my calendar with things that I have to do that I haven't done around the house, or like need to, even like wash the dogs, or like take a shower, or brush my teeth. It's like just funny little things that you're like, okay, check, I did that, or check. So, it's just kind of coming up with ways to also just like amuse yourself too.
Yeah, for sure. And still have fun. Like, how can we have fun in this time? And I've noticed with myself too, Mother Nature, like you mentioned, the things growing in the ground. Yeah, that's been because she goes on, right? Like
Absolutely.
the natural world is still going on as if nothing is happening in the human world. And that can be really reassuring if you allow it to be, and if you look for those signs and signals.
Definitely. And to be able to see, now just to be able to like look outside the windows and really take in nature, where our surroundings, and see like, I even look over and I'm now enjoying like my neighbor's tree peonies that I never really noticed before, but I'm like, oh, there's a gorgeous bud. Oh my God, it's about to bloom. Oh, it's like, just seeing that progression is, again, just signs of like life that, we will overcome this, and, there's still beauty out there in the world and around us. And, it's it's nature, and nature takes its course, and seasons still happen. And so it's positive. I.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like this whole conversation is just the perfect segue for the quote that you shared too. I'm like, oh my gosh, we couldn't have set this up any better. So I'm going to do a quick screen share so we can pull it up. And I mean, it's a Betty White quote. So, I mean, does it get any better than Betty White in terms of like, bringing in humor and a lightness and optimism to your day. So the quote says, "It's your outlook on life that counts. If you take yourself lightly and don't take yourself too seriously, pretty soon you can find the humor in our everyday lives. And sometimes it can be a lifesaver." So, Eddie, I know that our conversation has really like led beautifully into this quote, but would you mind sharing like what it is specifically about this quote that made you want to share it with us today?
Well, I think, in life in general, and I do think everyone takes, your business, your life day to day very seriously. Like, you get up in the morning, you have your responsibilities. I mean, we don't have children, but we have our dogs, which are like our kids, where, it's like you have to feed them and clean and do all this. And it's like, and then get to work, be on time, make sure that things are happening. And, you could get lost in that calendar, your calendar, you can get lost in checking things off and literally not take the time to, as corny as it is, to stop and smell the roses. And, I think that's what I just love about, and about this quote is like, you have to take those moments and like just stop and laugh at yourself. Like, for example, yesterday I was outside in the garden all day and I was rushing to get done, and I like shoveled all this like dirt into on rocks into the wheelbarrow, and all of a sudden the whole wheelbarrow just like spilled over, like it went everywhere, it like tumbled on me. I then slip in mud and practically fall down this like little hill, and I just stopped, and usually I'd be like, oh my god, like what is that, and then I just like laid there and laughed like I was in a loony bin. But it was so funny, like, oh my god, like I was rushing, the thing fell, I fell, dirt's all over, and it's like, then that's where I find, I would have probably been like really angry, like kind of upset that it happened, but I just like stopped and laughed. And it was like a lifesaver in that moment of just finding humor in it and not frustration.
It sounds like a scene out of a movie.
It was Funny Farm with Chevy Chase.
Oh my gosh, that's too funny. And I love that you took that as an opportunity to just laugh at the situation, laugh at yourself. It's really what we need. We need to just, instead of allowing ourselves to hit that breaking point of frustration and, aggravation, that the day has now taken a completely hard turn in a different direction.
Literally downhill.
Yes, through mud, downhill. You instead adjusted immediately and laughed. Like, that's such a great approach that I think we all really need right now.
Totally. I mean, there's moments like that all the time that just like happen, I mean, if you want to be real, like the other day, like even like the dog had an accident inside, and I was like just walking, and I like stepped and carried it through the house, and I was just like, oh my god, like before I would have been like really literally pissed off and like, oh my god, but I'm just like laughing. I'm like, I hope this brings me luck. Like I stepped in dog crap. Like, I hope this brings me luck now.
Is that a thing? Is like stepping in dog?
Yeah, sometimes they say they were so lucky they stepped in shit.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Maybe it works.
I've heard when a bird poops on you, it's good luck.
Yeah, I've heard that too, right?
That's good though. I guess anytime you're mired in shit, it can be good luck.
Exactly.
Yeah. So Stacey, something to keep in mind too with the newborn.
Totally.
Yeah, exactly. Lots of good luck.
Yeah, a lot of good luck is coming your way.
That's awesome.
Oh.
Well, on that note, we're very excited to have Eddie Ross with us here today and do a little bit more of a formal introduction, and then Eddie's going to kick it off and share with us how to do some good virtual party planning. So Eddie was trained at the Culinary Institute of America, so he's actually a trained chef. And he went on to produce content for Martha Stewart Living and Better Home and Gardens, House Beautiful, Food Network. You've seen his name, many, many different places in the past and as now as well. He's also written a book. So in 2015, he released Modern Mix, Curating Personal Style with chic and accessible finds.
Get in there.
Yeah. And in that book, he shares his sort of insider knowledge of how to create really beautiful, exciting interiors and table settings and events, and takes everything he's learned in his vast experience, over the years to share that with you and help you do it in your own home, which is amazing. And in 2017, Eddie and his partner, Jathan Kocher, opened Maximalist Studios. And if you haven't been to Maximalist Studios, it's such a gorgeous space. It's filled with light and beauty and just, it's one of those spaces you walk into and it's almost like walking into a cathedral with the feeling of just openness and beauty that it offers. And it is a hosting space. So people do weddings there and events there, and you can do photo shoots there. And Eddie and his partner also do a lot of different things around their own styled photo shoots in that space. So it's a really great thing. And right before this pandemic, I went to Maximalist for a great event that Eddie hosted with a chef where she did a cooking demonstration and you got to try the food and just walk around in that space. And it was so lovely. And that stands out as one of the last events I was able to go to before we all, came to lockdown. So I'm so thrilled to have Eddie with us here today, and I know it'll be a good and fun session. So Eddie, take it away.
Well, thank you guys so much. And that's kind of another thing, like the event for Susan Spungen of her book launch. And in a way it was like the big last event, but it kind of went out with a bang. It was like one of those things where I'm like, oh my gosh, well, at least, we were able to do this and like get everyone together and see everyone. And so that was like a little kind of a blessing before, everything happened. But thank you for all the kind words about Maximalist Studios. I really, it was something that we wanted to do for a long time. And I just, when we were designing and looking at the space, it was a studio and an event space that I wanted as a editor to go in and shoot that I couldn't find anywhere, New York or wherever. So that was kind of the idea behind it. Like I just wanted this, as I call it, like a creative laboratory where it's not just one thing. It could be anything to anyone, especially having, the prop house on site too with, furniture, glassware, china, linen, blah, 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 where, it works for fashion, it works for home, it works for pharmaceutical, it works for cooking. Like it's just fun to see the way people come in and use the space when we're not using it. So that's kind of like the Maximalist Studios idea. But besides that, I am a huge collector of tabletop, tableware, entertaining, and this is like the opportunity to kind of have that luxury now of time. And we could all keep busy doing our work and, but are you going to remember 6 months from now, like, oh yeah, I did that Zoom conference call for like something for work, or, where it's work, like where you're like, all right, I could have done this and wherever, but like setting a table and making moments with your friends and family, even though you can't be together, but you could still be with the people in your home that you're quarantining with, thankfully with a Zoom, where you can virtually host a dinner party, a cocktail party, a reunion, a birthday parties. And, it's an opportunity to pull those things out that you don't use all the time. Family heirlooms. We were watching the documentary on Deanna Vreeland, and she used to have that column back in Bazaar during the Depression where it was, why don't you? And it was like, why don't you paint your nails red and wear a fur hat? And, and that was a time where the United States was in this, crisis. And I was like, gosh, it's like kind of right now, like we are in this COVID crisis, and why don't you set a beautiful table, and why don't you decant your wine, and why don't you use butter plates, and why don't you use a crummer for when you make a mess, and it's like, why don't you use place cards, even though it could be two people, but it adds those like it'll add those like memories that, oh my God, do you remember when we would sit down to dinner and we had place cards and it was just two of us? Like, you know, it's funny to do. And I think with the whole virtual entertaining and partying, there's so many ways to do it. Like, you don't have to set a beautiful table. You know, you could use a beautiful glass if you're having a cocktail party. Or, you know, when we hosted this party where what we did is I wanted everyone to eat the same food so we could sit down together and all of that. So what I did is we had takeout, and we had takeout for the 8 people. And I said, okay, go to Palace and it's paid for, pick it up. And then what I did is I left a set of china, the forks and the glassware. So they picked up the food, they got their plates, and so we all had the same china and ate all the same food. And it was like really fun. And then, you know, they dropped off the china and linen and all of that stuff afterwards. But it was like, those are like those little fun things that you could still do to feel like you are still entertaining people. Or, I mean, you could email people recipes, you know, so here, have this, or hell, you know, go to Chick-fil-A, you know, and or whatever, just like have fun doing it.
I think that's awesome. Yeah, I knew that you did your sort of virtual birthday party that way, and it blew my mind. I was like, oh my God, it's like such a great way to just have everyone connect literally over the same plates or same like dinnerware and the same food. And, you know, because those things can bring people together even when we can't hug each other and we can't be in the same room. And there's something to be said for, I think, the symbolism of that, you know, and the beauty of that.
Absolutely. And it's entertaining your friends and family. And, you know, it's doing something special. There's a lot more planning to doing something like that. But again, we have the time, you know, to do something like that, and thinking outside the box of like, okay, how can you do it? I mean, you know, and it doesn't have to be like this fancy china linen, you know, it could be just setting your table with, you know, and eating in your dining room. Or, you know, Jathan and I have been eating in the garden room. We've eaten on, you know, the back porch. We've eaten in, you know, the family room. It's, you know, trying to just switch it up. I was like, soon we're running out of rooms. We're going to be like setting the table in the shower soon. We're going to be like, all right, like.
When you were talking, Eddie, I was thinking about, you know, with Mother's Day coming up, and you know, every time I think about it, like I get like a little sad because, you know, we'll be able to celebrate it with like my mom, my sister, my mother-in-law, my sister-in-law, you know, all the people that I would normally see on Mother's Day. But I love the ideas that you're suggesting, you know, in ways that we can still connect and make that time. And you know, because we have it, like you're totally right, it's the time is there, it's just how you decide to use it and incorporate it in a way that just can bring joy and bring love to the people in your life and your own life too.
Absolutely. And the memories. And, you know, another friend of ours, she did it was like a recipe swap, which I thought was really cute, where they swapped the recipes and then everyone delivered the recipe. It was like around. So they swapped the recipe and then they swapped the foods that they made. So they weren't eating the same thing. You got the recipe. And it was just like this cute way of doing like a cocktail party, you know, where you had something, you're trying something new, you got a new recipe, and, you know, you talked about it, you know, what it was like. So, I mean, there's all different ways of, you know, entertaining where it doesn't outside of the box, where you're still having that interaction. You're still, if someone cooks something, there's like the love in it, where you could even do that still for Mother's Day, like Mother's Day cookie swap, or a Mother's Day something sweet swap, which could be really fun.
Yeah, and I was wondering, Eddie, since you have a background as a chef and have done so much of that, have you, during this time, either for hosting virtual parties or just in general, have you done anything different with like cooking, or recipes that you have shared, or things like that? I'm just sort of curious.
Absolutely. And again, with the free found time, and honestly, with so much more thought with going to the grocery store, it's not just like, oh, I forgot eggs, let me run to the grocery store. I'm like, oh my God, if I forgot eggs, I can do without it, because I just don't want to go through the whole, it's like going into like the operation. Like, you need your mask, you need your gloves. It's like this whole thing, someone coughs and you're like, so there's a lot more thought when you're grocery shopping. And with that, there's a lot more planning with dinners and meals and things like that. So we definitely have been, I've been trying things, like, honestly, I've been just, trying to do things without so many carbs, looking at like almond flour, and looking at, all natural sweeteners that's not sugar, like almost trying a keto, but not like, because keto is very high in fat and meat and things, but just looking like, okay, I know how to switch up recipes. I know, like, okay, if I'm doing this, but let me just try using almond flour instead. Like, trying to do like little healthier things. Instead of potatoes, I made a, shepherd's pie. But I made a shepherd's pie, but instead of using mashed potatoes, I did a cauliflower mash on top, which was really, it was still just as delicious, but it didn't have all that like heaviness of the carbs. So, things like that, I think are, what I'm being able to, kind of try out and work things out. I mean, definitely some things have not worked well at all. And then some things have worked really well.
And now is the time, right, to experiment with recipes.
Totally.
I have done so much more cooking in the last however many weeks we're into at this point. And I enjoy cooking, but I've definitely been playing around with other ideas. And, if my son asks for something specific, I'm like, if we have the ingredients, like, sure,
Totally.
make it, why not? Like, we can make that work. And well, in the, before this time, it's like, okay, well, I have to really plan for it and make sure that, it works into our week schedule, because, depending on when I'm working or my husband's working, like, we need to just make that time. But now it's like, okay, yeah, we have the ingredients, or we have, enough where I can substitute or make something work. And it's fun. It's definitely fun. Stacey and I have been doing some recipe swapping too. That's also been really cute to like see when we're both making like the same recipes, or like back to back, and how we're getting the kids involved.
Little cooking, what is it, reality show, like a Food Network reality cooking show.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh.
Well, Eddie, I know for me, when I was thinking about planning a virtual party for my baby shower, I felt really intimidated by the idea. I was like, oh, what's the point? Like, it's not going to be the same. How do I do it? You've offered some really great ideas, and I'm also wondering, for those who are like super intimidated, they're like, oh, of course Eddie could do it, right? Or like, of course Stacey or Susan could do it. What are maybe the first couple steps? Like, if they wanted to just do a really simple gathering of people, is there anything that you would most recommend, just to like, hey, just start with these couple of basic things? I know you mentioned a lot of things too in that article that you wrote recently, which we will share with everybody, about hosting a virtual party, but just wanted to like address that, because I know some people, again, would be like, how do I actually do it? Because some of us love hosting parties in sort of normal life, and some of us don't, and there's a whole mix of people that way.
Absolutely. And I think, and I am a huge fan of like, what if I can buy it, why make it? You know what I mean? Like I'm definitely like Costco king. I love Costco. And I have thrown many, many parties by just being like, oh my God, I'm like having a party and I'm like, holy shit, I'm like, I don't have time to like do the shopping, make the recipe, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, Costco, doctor it up, and here you go. If people eat with their eyes, the quality of the food, and I am not a paid Costco spokesperson, but I do, there's many different things. And I'm just thinking like for a baby shower, like it's really fun to do like it's like sandwiches and a salad and like a cute drink. And you can go to Costco and you can buy like those and they make all the food fresh, a big, beautiful sandwich platter and a great salad and something like this. And yes, it takes more work on the hostess part, which would be you and being pregnant and all of this. You're like, I don't know if I wanted to do that, or maybe someone's throwing it. But that's when you can go buy it, separate it, put it in just like a nice little tin or something, drop it off at everyone's house with maybe like, I don't know, like sparkling wine or sparkling or champagne or whatever. So everyone has that where it's like, okay, now you're having like a little a birthday luncheon or a baby shower luncheon, and maybe you give everybody something that they're in charge of. Like, okay, you're in charge of like a little decor item, or maybe someone else is in charge of like the cupcakes that they have to then deliver to everyone. So it could be like this fun little thing where it's like, you're not slaving over the stove or cooking. It's, buy and make it pretty.
I love that. And I appreciate your honesty. Everyone out there is probably like, oh, Eddie. It's awesome. I'm like, yes, Eddie.
I've had many Costco catered parties. Catered.
I know Costco, Wegmans,
oh, totally.
And I mean, like
Trader Joe's.
Trader Joe's, Carlino's too, out in like Westchester, Ardmore area. I've many parties where like that has been the majority of the food that has been provided. And it's fantastic.
Absolutely, and it's the best. I mean, you could literally go to Costco and get the flowers, get decor, get the food, get the appetizers, and then like go across to get the wine. I know in King of Prussia, and you're like, boom, done. Then transfer it to pretty dishes and whatever, and it's like, yeah, I made it. It's only a little white lie. And then when they ask for the recipe, you're like, oh.
That's awesome.
Send directions to Costco.
I love that.
Step 1 are ingredients, your car, gasoline.
Yeah, you give them like a Waze route from their house.
That's awesome. Well, and I think too, like if you can't bring, like you had 8 friends, and I assume they were all like hyper local. Like
yeah, they were all local. Yeah,
yeah,
so
which makes it like a little more feasible. In my case, people are kind of scattered, and so what I'm doing is I can't bring them. I would love if I like had local people, but I'm one of those people where my friends are like in New York, and they're here, and they're across the country. And so I told them, like, I want you just to have something delectable.
Oh, that's good.
To eat like in front of you that night. I don't care if you make it or not. I don't care if you get it from delivery. Just something that makes you feel good, like some element of food that makes you feel good. Because that's a lot of gatherings, right? It's like you bring people together with food that makes people feel taken care of and good. And I can't do that because they're too far away and we have social distancing, but they can do that for themselves. And so I wanted to kind of create that reminder of like, hey, like whatever that might be. And I'm going to make a cake for myself, which I shouldn't eat all of a week before giving birth, but that's probably going to happen. And I don't care.
Good for you.
Yeah. But it's, that element of like, how do we still kind of take care of ourselves and bring each other together around food, even if maybe our friends are scattered pretty far and we can't, be able to share the place settings and all the beautiful things that you were able to do for your birthday party, which is awesome to hear. It's like, I wish I could have been part of that. It sounds so lovely.
just like what you said, what is delectable to you, and it could be like what is special to you. Like if you were sitting down, like what is a special place setting to you? Like it doesn't all have to be the same. Everyone doesn't have to be the same, but it is adding that element of, what's special, which is so nice that you don't do often for yourself, and you only do when you are hosting like a party or something. So that's nice that they might not be coming to you, but they're still doing something special for themselves because of you.
I love that. Well, and Susan may have another question, but one last question that comes up for me, Eddie, that I'm wondering about is there anything in this time period that that you've been implementing virtually that you feel like, what, when I go back to the quote unquote normal world, I actually want to do more of that, or I want to change up what I've been doing? Because I've just sort of been curious to pick people's brains about that. And you doing so much styling and so much beautiful event planning, and your calendar always being so packed normally, is there anything you're kind of taking away from this time period that you're going to apply as you move forward?
Absolutely, to schedule in free time. Absolutely, free time. Time to like enjoy the seasons. Like honestly, this season, I love gardening. It's one of the things that I just like love. I grew up doing it with my grandparents. I love it. And last year I was so busy that I didn't get a chance to. I mean, we were working and we were able to have, someone come in and like weed the garden, or someone, do things like that. And it's like, I enjoy that. As crazy as it is, it's like this sense of accomplishment, even just as much as weeding it's like, I did it, and that's what I really am enjoying now, that I want to continue to do through. And it's like, I did it for me. I didn't do it for anyone else. I did it for me. And I think and I don't want to sound like I'm being selfish, but it's like, I'm always like worried about like doing work for other people and make sure that everyone else is happy and with work and this. And it's like, Jason and I have both been saying, it's like, we need to, like, now we're doing things that make us happy. And I want to continue that. And I hope, so many people are realizing that too. Like, you have to do things that make you happy. And I think in this time, that's one of the biggest things that I'm taking with me, that I want to continue as we, start to like open, when like the world starts to open up, our worlds start to open up again.
Yeah, I think that's a major, major lesson that a lot of us really need to carry with us after, we return to whatever normalcy looks like beyond this moment, is making that time for yourself and making sure that you are a priority, and, really should be something that happens every day. And it doesn't have to be an elaborate or an extended period of time, but it does have to be a moment for yourself. And especially, for people like you, Eddie, who, like you said, are always focused on helping everyone else and doing things for other people. Like, how do you come back to yourself, and how do you make sure that you're taking care of yourself?
Totally. And I think too, there's this sense of, I'm with Instagram too, like I felt like prior to that, I always had to like Instagram to almost show that I'm like enjoying my life. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I'm Instagramming, like, look this, look that, like, and now I'm like, in this time, I have not Instagrammed a lot at all, and it's just like, and when I do it, it's like, I really, like, it's more meaningful, like, I came across the picture of my grandfather's greenhouse, like, like that was meaningful. Or like, I'm building a rock wall, and it's like, or it's like more proud, and it's not like almost trying to, it's like, I don't know, like this false sense of like Instagram happiness, now it's like, all right, I'm gonna just post what's actually kind of making me happy. And I've been pulling back a lot from Instagram because it's like, I still feel that there is, and like knowing a lot of people in that world, I'm knowing like, okay, yeah, that wasn't a real thing. Like that was, you know what I mean? There's like that persona of like everything's all great, but then you know the person. I'm always like, oh my god, that's such hashtag lies.
Yeah, or hashtag highlight reel, you know, where it's like, oh, but you're not talking about all the other, like about the actual shit show that's happening. Like you only captured that like little moment where it's like, oh, look at the perfection that is my life. Yeah.
Totally. And in the magazine world, there's so much of that. And honestly, that's something too that I'm like taking out of this, like the perfection of it. You know, like life is like, it's not perfect. Nothing is perfect. When you look at someone who you think is perfect, their lives are actually a disaster. Like so much of it is a disaster. And you know, like it's just like the outside is like it's all, but then it's, you know, kind of not perfect. So I think that's definitely another thing where it's just like, let's be real here.
Yeah, there's so much of that, I feel like in the parenting world too, when it comes to social media, where it's
Oh,
like, look how cute my kids are, and look at my like homeschooling schedule, and like look at the things that my kids made. And then you have conversations with those
oh,
people like that same day, and they're like, oh my gosh, like I, you know, they like couldn't even handle the day, but it's like that's what they're putting on social media. And it could be coming from a place of like them choosing to only focus on those memories, or them choosing to remember the positive from that day and then needing to vent about the rest of it.
mhm.
But I completely agree that there is this um, there's a huge tendency of just putting out lies or a facade of perfection. And it's not always helpful. I feel like it definitely needs to be balanced. Or it's like, hey, look at this beautiful thing that I created, or look at how cute my kids are. But by the way, like, just before this, I was flipping, flipping out because like this was happening and this was happening. Like, I just feel like there needs to be that honesty and that transparency. Otherwise, it's so much more harmful and detrimental to anybody who's kind of consuming that.
The social media. And honestly, I have, you know, I definitely have stayed away from social media a lot just in this time. And I think honestly that has made me happy. It's literally has made me happier, you know, and because I know, like, you know, I think for all of us, even, you know, we all have our businesses, and it's like they say, you know, there's always going to be somebody like richer, skinnier, prettier, blah, 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 happier, this. And like when you look at that, it like messes with your head. And you have to, and there's another quote that I was debating with on, you know, and it's just remember or look at, or, oh God, it's something about like, look at what you have now that you wished for back in the day or something. It's something like, look at what you have now that you wished for like 5 years ago, you know, and be like so happy about it. And I do, and I think about it and I'm like, oh my God, like all I've wanted, you know, is like to have a house and to have a garden and to have, you know, our studio and, you know, and thinking of that now, it's like I could be like really upset, like, oh, the parties were canceled and this was canceled. But it's like, you know what? We have what we want. We have what we worked so hard for and wanted for so long that, you know, getting away from, you know, the likes and this, it like, I don't know, there's something where it just kind of eats away at you, you know, and in like the like in a driven way, not like I'm a jealous way, like not jealousy, but like, oh my God, I have to do that, or oh my God, I need to get to this, or, you know, like driven where it almost now, like what we were saying is not looking at that. It's now the time where I'm not trying to think about like, okay, what do I have to do? What do I have to do? It's like, let me do it for myself to make me happy, and not try to do it to Instagram or something, you know?
Yeah, more about being present in that moment
Yeah.
and allowing yourself to experience it rather
Mhm.
than feeling you need to experience it while taking a picture of it and make sure that picture's great and then also posting it in the appropriate amount of time.
And that's not fun. That's and you know, it takes away from it. And you know, one time Jathan and I, we were doing like we were having a party, and I was like rushing around trying to get pictures and this, and you know, it just caused like tension before like a fun party that was supposed to be fun. That it was because I wanted, it's like if it wasn't on Instagram, it didn't happen. You know what I mean? And now so much has happened that wasn't on Instagram that I'm like, you know what? We have it, you know? Like we have it. Like it doesn't need to be out there.
Yeah, I appreciate this so much, both the candidness, because that's what we want the show to be, right? It's part of the purpose of the show, but also the balance of like, what can you really do? And this gets back to the, you know, virtual party thing. It's like, if you host a virtual party, yeah, you don't need to be posting on Instagram. You don't need to be, it doesn't need to be any one thing. It can just be something that makes you feel good, you know, and or brings you together with your
Yeah.
partner, your, you know, your the family you're able to have around at this time. And that's more than enough, you know. Like it doesn't have to be um all that other stuff. And I've Susan and I have talked many times over the course of the past month of doing this show that the beauty of this time, I think, is that people are more real and
Mhm.
vulnerable. And I like, there's a part of myself, to be honest, it's like, oh, thank God. Like I've been waiting for this moment for years of people to just be real
Yeah.
people again. Um, you know, and just come back down to earth, because we've all been kind of floating in that Instagram
Bubble.
bubble. Yeah. And I think it's even for small business, even like all the small businesses I'm connected to, I admire so much, and they are really down to earth people, but we all get caught in that spiral of, and even if you don't have a business, you get caught in that spiral of, you know, how many likes do you have? What does it look like? Um,
Exactly.
and I
Exactly.
just wanted to say, Eddie, too, like I've really know, you know, because obviously I follow you on social media and I love everything you do. It's all visually beautiful, but the posts you've done recently where you did mention your grandfather's, you know, greenhouse, and you showed the pieces you've been picking out of the river, I think you
Yeah.
said. And
Yeah.
they struck me as real, like that much more beautiful than normal, because not only are they real, but it's also like, wow, that's where the inspiration is right now. It is in the river behind your house. It is in the tulip growing in your garden.
Yeah.
It's, you know, it is in, you know, if you host a virtual party, what one small thing with place settings or a flower can you bring into that just makes you feel good and honors the space we're in. I mean, this space sucks in a lot of ways. At the same time, there's so much beauty that can be found, and that's not necessarily Instagrammable.
Yeah. Yeah, literally found. And I think, you know, that is like just doing things that I've wanted to do, like this little creek in our neighborhood. Like I mean, we've owned the house for like over 3 years, and I've always said like I just want to go take a walk through, and like I'm sure there's like cool little bits and pieces of like stuff, and I did, and it was like one of the best days. Like Jathan went and he went for a run, and I went for a run, and then afterwards I just like took my time and I just like walked this little bank. I probably was like trespassing on like many people's properties, but I'm like, you know, I did it, and I found all these little bits and pieces, and it was so like, oh my God, just like history, but it was like beautiful garbage. You know, that's honestly, it was like beautiful garbage that I was like picking up, that I'm like saving, like some kind of weird person. Like I know people were like driving by being like, who's that crazy person picking up garbage in the river? Like, you know, or the stream. But I found like, it was just beauty. It was just it was just like pretty little like things. And I don't know what, and I just have it sitting in a bowl, you know, that I think is pretty. I mean, I kind of want to go and grab it and show you.
You should do that. Yeah, yeah. You should.
Yeah, please do. I'm so curious. I was about to pull up your Instagram.
And it's actually a lot of stuff.
Yeah, it's a pretty big bowl. Like, wow, yeah.
Cool, but it's like all these like, I don't know if you can see, but it's like sea glass too, because it's, and like, I don't know if you can see, but like pieces of like china, and like, look at this cool piece of like, and the color palettes like blue, and I don't know, I just like old like cool little bottle stuff tops, and I don't know, I just thought it was so cool, and now it's like a bowl of curiosity, and hopefully people will be like, oh, what is this? And I'm going to be like, oh, I picked it out of a river, like, look at this piece. It's like a broken piece of china.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
Yeah, and it has like gold on it, and I'm like, there's another piece in here that I found that has a china marker, a label on it, that I went onto eBay, and then I found the plates. I found the exact plates. So, then I got it's like this blue and white, or maroon and white transferware. It's this English Johnson and Brother pattern. And I bought a set of plates. They're not here yet because they're not shipping until everything's over. But I was like, that was like inspiration to like go onto eBay and find, do the research. And now I think I bought this set of 12 plates I got for like $15. So those will always be like my quarantine river plates that, every time we use them, it's going to be like, oh yeah, it's a story.
I love that. I love that. I also thought when you posted the photos of some of those pieces, I was like, oh, you need to make a mosaic. You could totally make a mosaic out of those, like on your property, or just even a mirror mosaic, anything you want.
That's a great idea. That would be really like some kind of cool garden something, sculpture or something. But if you like open your eyes, like there's beauty everywhere, and it's like even beauty in like washed up garbage on the little banks of a river or a stream.
I'm feeling so inspired now. I love like all of the colors, and that you're able to find like different patterns on the different china just from, a little like impulse creek exploration. Like, how did you carry all that? Did you have like something with you?
No, what I ended up doing is that I felt like Laura Ingalls Wilder from like Little House on the Prairie, because I used my running shirt, which then as I was walking looked like I had like boobs in a crop top. walking through Wayne, I was like, okay, people are gonna be like, what the hell is this person doing? Because it was like up here, I was holding it, and it was like hanging.
Oh my gosh, that visual is spectacular.
Oh,
that's good. Especially Wayne, because Wayne, like in terms of sometimes a place that can have a lot of pretense. My town too, it's like, but no, there's Eddie walking down.
Holding it. But that's how I got it all back. And then washed it, and there was like something even like nice about washing it, and like laying it out and color coordinating it. It's like, it was like this calming thing that just, a month and a half ago, I would never even have thought that that's what I would be doing.
Oh, I love that. Well, Eddie, we've talked about a lot of interesting stuff. I'm so excited about this conversation. Do you have any other words of wisdom or closing thoughts, or related to either the virtual party idea or the finding beauty in the everyday kind of idea that we've circled back to?
Yes, absolutely. I think it's looking at things in a different way too. And that's just even thinking about like here in this flower arrangement that I have, it's a gravy boat. But what I did is like, I used the gravy boat as a flower arrangement, but then I used the ladle still like having a little humor, it's a piece that I'm not serving gravy with, but it's like, think outside the box. Like, what what do I have? How can I use it? Um, Try to make things special, put a little special touches on things. And, I was saying that, we have been drinking a lot of wine, and I might have bought big bottles, which aren't so elegant. So yes, I have might been decanting wine. As I'm like with the big lid, I'm like, put that away and then make it memorable in a decanter.
No judgment.
Okay,
No
good.
judgment. We've been drinking a lot of wine over here too. And by we, I mean me. But yeah, no judgment.
That's the thing I am looking forward to, is not like giving my liver a rest. I'm like, if I don't get COVID, I'm definitely gonna need a liver transplant. Like, God, it definitely needs a vacation. It needs green juice, which I have not had.
Believe me, if I wasn't pregnant, I'd be right there alongside you.
Seriously, I know. Oh my gosh. Well, you could have a little red wine, right?
Yeah, a little bit, but yeah, no, believe me, I'm dreaming of that cocktail. Like, oh, like the French gimlet, please.
Oh,
Like, you're 2 weeks away.
I'm like, what time is it? That sounds good.
Oh,
Oh, well, this has been so fun, really. It's been so nice to, interact and see two very smiling, happy faces, and, just chat. And, I love the show that you all are doing. I think it really makes it people feel real, that everything isn't, perfect 24/7, you know, and, there's good days, bad days. And, like you said, just being real, I think is it's calm. It's like better for the soul, instead of like just smiling on the outside and, having whatever it is eat you alive inside.
yeah, no, it's true. It's true. And Susan and I have talked many times about how this show, I mean, part of it's because the actual pandemic, it can happen, but, because people are at home, but part of it's, under normal circumstances, even we wouldn't have done this because we'd been like, oh, it's not perfect, or we can't talk about our emotions that much, or, there would have been something about it that, again, getting back to the kind of Instagrammable world, you'd be like, but this time we're in this moment, we're like, you know what, like it requires genuineness and
Totally.
vulnerability. And I don't care if people, are like, oh, there they go talking about feelings again. It's like, yeah, because you have to. Like, we're all stuck in this space of,
Totally.
of navigating these feelings.
Yeah.
And the kind of conversation we had today is so great because it's like you talk about the hard stuff, but then you talk about beauty and you talk about lightness and you have a laugh about the wheelbarrow
I
or the gravy boat. Yeah.
Yeah, and it is. It's like there's like this sense, like, I do think, like, when I do go on to Instagram and I see some of the stuff, I'm just like, oh, like it is a little just like much, there's like a little much. So you have to be real with all that's happening and find the humor in it. And it feels good to talk about it too. Like, you have to still have beauty, but you can't just have beauty without like the realness of life.
Yeah, acknowledging your feelings and feeling the feelings is just a huge part of it, I think. And in order to be able to get to the point where you can experience the beauty and the humor, you have to go inward and feel it.
Yeah, Betty White's quote.
Yeah, exactly. Well, thank you, Eddie, so very much for being on today. It was such a pleasure talking with you, laughing with you, and, getting real with you too. We are so grateful that you decided to be on with us.
Oh, well, thank you so much for having me. And I can't wait to see you all in person when, this is all over.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
good luck, congratulations with, the baby when he or she comes.
It's a girl, yeah, when she comes. Yeah.
When she comes. So, that's something to look forward to. That's exciting.
It is. Well, thank you so much. And Eddie, could you close out letting people know where to find you best? Or we'll link to all this in the episode page, but where would you like people to find you and learn about the work?
Well, they can go to, my Instagram, Eddie Ross. They could also go to Maximalist Studios to see like the studio stuff. And, from the Instagram pages, it could take you to the websites and stuff like that.
Awesome. And we'll, as I mentioned on the episode page, we'll link up your website, of course, in Instagram. We'll also link to the article that you wrote about hosting virtual parties.
Oh, awesome. Cool.
So people can see that. So thank you so much, Eddie. And
You.
we always end our episode with the same quote from a Mary Oliver poem. And that quote is, "What will you do with your one wild and precious life?" So thank you, everybody, for being here. And we will see you tomorrow in the next episode.
Bye.
All right, guys. Enjoy the rest of the night.